I have a question for you. When will you take your mask off? I listen to a lot of podcasts, and one of the speakers had said that he asked people when will they take their masks off. So I thought I would do the same thing, and I asked a friend at church as we were preparing for a meeting. My friend thought about it and took a deep breath and finally said, I'm prepared to wear this mask for the rest of my life if that's what I need to do. And I cannot begin to tell you how shocked I was to hear that. It's been fully a year since we were asked to do our part to slow the spread of the virus. Longer. We diligently put our masks on and stood at least 6 feet from each other. Some even started wearing shields and large sunglasses. I have to admit, that's when I began to smell a rat in the whole situation. As the initial 2 weeks continued to drag on for months, I was constantly distressed at watching those around me continue to do their part. When would people come to their senses and realize that they were being lied to by the media and Fauci? Where were the freedom-loving Americans that I fully expected to show up and say, we've done our part, we want our lives back? The very small handful that did so were quickly squelched by the social and news medias. We stood by and watched a family get kicked off an airplane because their toddler wouldn't wear a mask. We observed an older woman be accosted by police, breaking her foot in the process when all she wanted to do was close her account because she chose to exercise her right to breathe. There are many more instances, but you get the idea. I was appalled to see people obediently give up their holiday family gatherings, accepting this as the new normal. I had to completely quit watching television, even the sports I love. It was distracting to watch the coaches and players struggling with their masks and shields while trying to do their jobs. I certainly got tired of all the commercials that telling me that we're all in this together. I'm tired of straining to understand muffled voices. Most of all, I am furious that we thought it was okay to put our children in masks. Proponents of the mask tout the science of the mask, totally ignoring the science. The submicrons of the virus are smaller than the mesh of any mask that you're going to wear and would not keep you from catching the virus. The boxes of the masks themselves even stated they would not keep you from catching the virus. The data that eventually came out showed that freer states like Florida and South Dakota had comparative infections and deaths of those to the more restricted states like California, Michigan, and New York. The media may not have told you that. You can't keep people afraid and obedient with accurate information. In fact, the most restricted states had higher rates of infections. How does that happen? I'm not trying to state that there was not a coronavirus. Indeed, the virus was quite deadly for many who were already in poor health. Very, very few of those who were healthy succumbed to the virus. Overall, the survival rate is 99.96%. 99.96%. Okay, we don't know how many people have actually had the virus and been asymptomatic, nor do we know how many tested positive and did not have the virus. I understand that. The average age of someone who succumbed to the virus is 77.8 years old. The average age of humans is 77.8 years. Regardless, the survival rate of COVID-19 is much higher than what you've been led to believe. And it's much higher survival rate than even the influenza people get each year. So why are people still wearing masks? Many are forced to because the companies they work for are requiring it. You corporations that are requiring your employees to continue to wear masks despite the data are acting shamefully and need to stop it now. You are causing your employees hours of discomfort, restricting their breathing, promoting sores on their faces and behind their ears, raising the risk of bacterial infections, and so on. These obedient people feel they need their jobs, and I'm sure they do. Yet you have no compassion on their diligent arrival each day, as they also struggle constantly with their masks. In fact, if you let them remove them, you may even find that production will improve, simply because they're not fiddling with their mask all the time. What a thought! What I really don't understand is the persistent wearing of masks in places where politicians have lifted the mandates. Oh, on a quick side note, a mandate is not a law. If you are healthy, why are you wearing a mask? If you're ill, whatever the illness, what are you doing in public? If you followed just those two guidelines, there would be no... Oh. We're supposed to believe that there are those who have no symptoms at all roaming around in public, infecting all they come in contact with. Please. If you've already had the virus, why are you still wearing a mask? You might catch it again. You've already survived it once. Do you really think you'll catch it again and die? Really? Your political leaders don't even believe the drivel they're doling out to you. How many of them are being caught without masks? Do you think they would risk their lives if they truly believe the masks save lives? When will you catch on to the lies that you're being fed? These lying politicians have reduced people of our country into a fearful, very unhappy mask-wearing population. One trip to Walmart or any other public place is truly a scene out of the Twilight Zone. Those fearful, stressed eyes peer over masks that are worn, torn, dirty, under their chins, under their noses, hanging from one ear, except for those who wear glasses. And all they see is fog. You could stop to think about how our founding fathers would have reacted to the nonsense that is going on. Better yet, think about your grandparents or great-grandparents, how they would have reacted to these cowardly actions. In Romans chapter 14, Paul tells the people not to worry about eating meat that's been sacrificed to idols, because idols are nothing, and the meat is created by God and therefore not unclean. It goes on to state that we as Christians are not supposed to do anything to upset a person by eating the meat sacrificed to the idols if the other person feels it is wrong. Many of our Christian friends have been wearing the mask out of indifference to those who feel that they are important, despite how they themselves regard mask wearing. I don't feel, first of all, that this is a good comparison of biblical values. Eating meat sacrificed to idols versus wearing a mask to make others feel good about themselves. Okay, so if it were, then we certainly have gone way beyond the eating of meat sacrificed to idols and are now participating in the act of idol worship, sacrificing our own children to the idol by forcing them to wear masks. Wrong is wrong, and masks are wrong. In another podcast I heard, a woman put a plea out to the leaders of our churches, and men in general. She asked these men to stand up to the tyranny being placed on their families with these mask mandates. She asked them to stand up on behalf of their children, freeing them from the restrictions put on them by those in charge out of fear for a virus with such a high survival rate. I agree completely. It is time to reclaim our freedoms. Finally, don't you feel that you're snubbing your noses at the soldiers that you claim to support as they're off fighting for your freedoms? It's not logical to heap praise on these brave men and women as you willingly throw the same freedoms away. The virus has been through our small community, and I'm seeing signs of slowly removing their masks. Some of them claim it's because they've already had the virus and both vaccinations. I won't open that can of worms on this video. I strongly encourage each and every one of you to turn off the television, especially news channels, whichever news station you choose to listen to. Do your own research. Learn to think for yourselves. Most of all, claim your rights as Americans. After all, this is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. Make a naked face the new normal. Enjoy your beautiful faces and get back to your lives. I'm just saying.